In a small town nestled between towering mountains, there was a boy named Max. Max was an ordinary boy, or so he thought, until one day while cleaning out his grandfather's attic, he stumbled upon an old dusty pencil. It was no ordinary pencil. Max felt a strange energy coming from it, but he shrugged it off, thinking it was just his imagination. The moment Max touched the pencil, something strange began to happen. The room seemed to shimmer and change. Max looked around and noticed that the colors of the room were fading away, as if they were being erased by some invisible hand. He quickly put the pencil down, and the colors snapped back to normal. Max stared at the pencil down in the colors. Did that just happen? He wondered nervously. Max couldn't resist the temptation. He picked the pencil up again and decided to test it out. He took a piece of paper and began to draw. At first he sketched a simple tree, but as soon as he finished the tree, it started to grow right out of the paper. It was as if the tree had come to life. Max gasped in shock. His heart pounded as the branches extended in the air, leaves swaying as it ended in the air, leaves swaying as extended in the air, leaves swaying as extended in the air, leaves swaying as occasion. He dropped the pencil in fear, and the tree stopped growing just inches from the ceiling. Max couldn't believe his eyes. He had never seen anything like this before. Was this pencil truly magical? He picked it up again, this time with more confidence. He drew a small bird on the paper. The bird blinked once, twice, and then it flew off the paper, circling the room before landing gently on Max's shoulder. Max was in awe. This was more than just a pencil. It was a tool of pure magic, but with great power comes great responsibility. Max began to wonder what else he could do with it. Maybe he could help people, make the world better, he thought excitedly. But then another thought crossed his mind. What if the pencil could also create danger? As the sun set, Max decided to keep the pencil safe. He locked it in a small wooden box and hid it under his bed that night. However, Max couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the pencil and the endless possibilities it held. What if someone found it? What if they used it for the wrong reasons? Suddenly, there was a loud noise from downstairs. Max jumped out of bed, his heart racing. He tiptoed down the stairs and saw that the front door was wide open. He knew he had locked it before going to bed. Max's mind raced with fear. Had someone broken in? Max grabbed the pencil from under his bed and held it tightly in his hand as if it would protect him. He moved closer to the door, but just as he reached for it, the door slammed shut on its own. Max froze in his tracks. He could hear footsteps behind him, but when he turned around, there was no one there. Max's breath quickened. He had never been so scared in his life. Was the pencil causing this? Was it drawing something into existence without him even realizing? He clutched the pencil tighter and slowly backed away from the door. The footsteps grew louder, closer. Just then, something strange began to happen. Max looked down at the pencil and saw that it was glowing faintly. He raised the pencil and pointed it toward the door. The glow intensified, and suddenly the door burst open, revealing a shadowy figure standing in the doorway. Max's heart nearly stopped as the figure stepped forward, its form dark and menacing. But then the figure vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Max stood there trembling with the pencil still glowing in his hand. He had never experienced anything like this. He knew that the pencil was powerful, but now he understood that it was also dangerous. Max had to be careful, or else the pencil could unleash something far worse. Max decided to take the pencil to someone who might know more about it. He went to the local librarian, Miss Winters, who was known for her knowledge of ancient artifacts. Max explained everything to her, from the pencil's magical properties to the strange events that had unfolded the previous night. Miss Winters listened carefully, her face growing serious. She told Max that the pencil was no ordinary magical item. It was a relic from an ancient time, created by a powerful sorcerer who had the ability to bring anything he drew to life. However, the pencil also had a dark side. It could create creatures and objects that were unpredictable and sometimes uncrowable, and sometimes untransferable. Max's mind raced. He had to find a way to control the pencil before it was too late. Miss Winters gave him an ancient book that contained instructions on how to master the pencil's powers, but she warned him to be careful, for the pencil could sense fear and hesitation, and it might start drawing on its own. Max took the book and hurried home, determined to learn how to control the pencil. He spent the entire night studying the ancient spells and techniques. The next morning, he felt ready to face whatever came next. He picked up the pencil with newfound confidence and decided to test his skills. He drew a small dog on the paper, but this time he concentrated carefully, keeping the ancient teachings in mind. The dog sprang to life, wagging its tail happily. Max smiled, relieved that he was finally gaining control, but then the dog started to grow larger and larger until it was the size of a horse. Max panicked, trying to stop the drawing, but the dog kept growing. He had to think fast. He quickly drew a large cage around the dog, trapping it inside. The dog barked loudly. but it couldn't escape. Max wiped the sweat from his brow, relieved that he had contained the situation, but he knew he was still far from mastering the pencil's power. As days passed, Max became more skilled with the pencil. He created beautiful landscapes and amazing creatures all under his control. But the pencil's dark side remained. Max could feel it lurking beneath the surface, waiting for a moment of weakness. One evening, Max decided to test his limits. He drew a towering castle in the middle of the forest. The castle materialized out of thin air, its tall spires piercing the sky, but as soon as it appeared, Max felt a cold wind sweep through the room. The castle wasn't empty. A dark shadow moved inside its walls. Something dangerous had been brought to life. Max knew he had made a mistake. He had drawn something without fully understanding its consequences. The shadowy figure from the night before appeared again, this time inside the castle. It was more powerful now, feeding off the pencil's magic. Max realized that he had to act quickly before the shadow could escape the castle and wreak havoc on the town. With a deep breath, Max held the pencil firmly and began to draw. He sketched a powerful shield around the castle, trapping the shadowy figure inside. But the shadow fought back, trying to break through the barrier. Max struggled to keep control as the pencil began to shake in his hand, glowing brighter than ever. Just when it seemed like the shadow would break free, Max remembered the final lesson from the ancient book. With all his strength, he focused on one last drawing. He sketched a powerful seal on the castle's door, locking the shadow inside forever. The castle shimmered and then vanished into thin air, taking the shadow with it. Max collapsed to the floor, exhausted but relieved. He had finally learned to control the pencil, but he also knew that its power was too dangerous to be left unchecked. Max decided to lock the pencil away in a safe place where no one could find it. He couldn't risk anyone else unleashing its magic again. As Max walked away from the hiding spot, he felt a strange sense of peace. He had learned an important lesson about responsibility and power, but deep down he knew that the pencil's magic was still out there waiting. Subscribe and share. Thanks for watching. If you like our story, please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends. Stay tuned for more exciting adventures and stories.